The Vorthak Consortium hadn't maintained their position as the galaxy's premier hunting syndicate for 3,000 years by being sloppy. Every species had patterns, weaknesses, behavioral quirks that made them predictable prey. The secret wasn't superior firepower. Any fool with enough credits could buy planet crackers. The art lay in understanding your quarry so completely that the hunt became inevitable. Curious creatures, these humans, mused Kexthari, the consortium's chief behavioral analyst, his 6 eyes scanning holographic displays of Earth's cultural output. They produce extensive documentation of their fears, almost obsessively detailed. Around the analysis chamber, his colleagues flexed their hunting appendages, some clawed, others tentacled, a few sporting biomechanical enhancements that gleamed under the sterile lighting. Each represented a different predator species that had joined the consortium after being thoroughly dominated by Vorthak's superiority. "Show us the fear documentation," growled Zefkar, a hulking creature whose homeworld had been strip-mined after his people proved insufficiently entertaining as prey. Now he worked for his conquerors, analyzing other species for consumption. The irony wasn't lost on him, but survival rarely allowed for pride. Kexthari activated the display, and Earth's entertainment industry exploded across their visual field in all its absurd glory. Horror films, thriller novels, survival reality shows, video games depicting every conceivable apocalypse scenario. "Fascinating pathology," Kexthari continued, manipulating the data streams. "They voluntarily expose themselves to simulated terror for recreation. Their own records indicate they pay currency to experience fear in controlled environments." "Masochistic prey behavior," snorted Veldres, whose species had once ruled a dozen systems before the Vorthak decided they needed better sport, "makes them easier to break psychologically." The assembled predators studied humanity's fictional output with the same clinical attention they'd once applied to migration patterns and breeding cycles. Every zombie movie became evidence of human paranoia about disease. Every alien invasion film proved their terror of superior species. Every post-apocalyptic game demonstrated their obsession with survival against impossible odds. "Look at this specimen." Kexthari highlighted a particularly dramatic film sequence. They imagined scenarios where their own dead rise to consume them. The psychological trauma of such beliefs must render them nearly catatonic when faced with actual threat. "Their military capabilities appear rudimentary," added Morphtai, the consortium's tactical specialist. "Chemical propellants, crude nuclear fission. They haven't even achieved proper plasma weaponry." "But notice their tactical obsessions," Veladris interjected, pulling up gameplay footage from human strategy games. "They simulate warfare constantly. Every possible scenario, conventional, guerrilla, asymmetric, technological, biological. It's almost like they're preparing for imaginary threats," Kexthari corrected smoothly. "Their fiction reveals a species paralyzed by hypothetical dangers. They waste tremendous resources on emergency preparedness for events that exist only in their entertainment media." The hunting council erupted in what passed for laughter among various predator species, a sound like glass breaking in a wind tunnel. "Perfect," declared Hunt Master Vrex Thule, the ancient Vortak who'd personally overseen the consumption of 47 species. "Fear-addicted prey that's already mentally broken by their own imagination. They'll surrender before we fire a single shot." "Their documentary evidence supports this conclusion," Kexthari confirmed, highlighting news broadcasts and social media feeds. "Observe how they react to minor threats, weather patterns, economic fluctuations, political disagreements, complete panic responses to trivial stimuli. And their social fragmentation," Morphtai added gleefully. They can't coordinate responses to their own planetary challenges. No unified command structure, no species loyalty. They'll abandon each other at the first sign of real predation. Rextool's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Earth would provide excellent hunting. A species so thoroughly documented, so obviously weak, so conveniently terrified of everything. The consortium had spent months analyzing human cultural output, treating every piece of fiction as anthropological data, every game as military intelligence, every film as behavioral documentation. Preliminary assessment complete, Vrextool announced. Threat level negligible, entertainment value moderate, estimated hunt duration 6 standard rotations. The council dispersed to prepare their fleets, confident in their analysis. After all, what species would voluntarily create such detailed documentation of their own weaknesses unless they were truly helpless? None of them considered that perhaps, just perhaps, all that fear documentation might serve a different purpose entirely. The Vorthak fleet materialized at Earth's orbital perimeter, expecting screaming chaos. Instead, they received a politely worded transmission requesting they complete Form 2847B for unscheduled extraterrestrial visitation and please hold for the next available diplomatic representative. This has to be some kind of psychological warfare, muttered Commander Thexmo, staring at the cheerfully bureaucratic response scrolling across his command screen. 47 minutes later, during which the mighty consortium armada waited like tourists in a government office, a video link activated. A middle-aged human woman appeared, sipping coffee from a mug that read, "World's okayest xenobiologist." "Hi there, I'm Dr. Chen with the UN Contact Division. Sorry for the wait. You caught us during lunch. So, standard first contact? Or are we looking at an invasion scenario today?" The assembled bridge crew exchanged glances. This wasn't remotely how prey species were supposed to behave. "We are the Vorthor Consortium," Tex Milan announced, extending his full intimidation display. "Razor-sharp appendages, bioluminescent threat patterns, the works. We have come to hunt your kind for sport." "Oh, invasion then. Got it." Dr. Chen made a note on her tablet. "Quick question. Are we talking traditional conquest, resource extraction, or the hunting for entertainment package? Because honestly, the paperwork varies significantly." You have different paperwork for different types of extinction." Thexamel's voice cracked slightly. "Well, sure. I mean, we've got protocols for everything. Alien invasion, AI uprising, asteroid impact, supervolcanic eruption, pandemic scenarios, nuclear exchange, climate collapse." She counted on her fingers. "Oh, and zombie outbreak, though technically that's filed under biological warfare now after the CDC reorganization." Lieutenant Quadesh leaned toward his commander. "Sir, she's discussing their species annihilation like it's routine administrative work." "I heard her," Thexmal snapped. He addressed the screen again. "You seem remarkably calm for someone facing extinction." Dr. Chen shrugged. "Honestly, we've been expecting this for decades. Carl Sagan called it back in the 70s. Any civilization advanced enough for interstellar travel probably had to survive their own destructive phases first. Most species don't make it past nuclear weapons without wiping themselves out." "But you did," observed Navigator Plexwin, genuinely curious despite himself. "Barely. And only because we're really, really good at killing things." She took another sip of coffee. "Coffee's actually a great example. We discovered this plant that produced a natural insecticide, and our response was, let's drink it. Most species would call that poison. We called it Tuesday morning." The bridge fell silent. In the background of Dr. Chen's video feed, other humans moved about their business with disturbing normalcy. Someone was arguing about lunch plans. A technician was casually discussing containment protocols for something called a Yellowstone scenario. Your people seem remarkably unconcerned about imminent danger, Texmol noted. Oh, we're terrified, Dr. Chen replied cheerfully. But we're functionally terrified. There's a difference. We've spent the last century planning for every possible way our species could go extinct, and we're still here. You get used to it. You plan for extinction? Plexwin asked, fascinated despite his predatory training. Constantly. We've got bunkers for nuclear winter, seed vaults for ecological collapse, off-world colonies for planetary disasters, and about 40 different plans for if artificial intelligence decides we're obsolete. My nephew's scout troop has a merit badge for post-apocalyptic survival skills. Communications Officer Rickstahl pulled up the human internet in real time. Commander, they're not panicking. They're live tweeting the invasion. Someone started a betting pool on how long we'll last. How long we'll last? Fexmol's voice rose to a pitch that would have shattered glass on most worlds. Dr. Chen glanced at something off-screen. Oh, that's just Bob from engineering. He's got this theory that any species that survives long enough to become galactic predators probably hasn't fought anything that fights back effectively in a few millennia. Makes you soft, apparently. We have conquered 47 species, roared Thexmol. Congratulations, Dr. Chen said sincerely. Were any of them from Death Worlds? The question hung in space like a toxic cloud, because the answer, which every member of the Vorthak consortium suddenly realized with growing horror, was no. None of their previous prey had evolved on planets actively trying to kill them every single day. Right then, Dr. Chen continued brightly. So, hunting for sport. Is this more of a most dangerous game situation, or are we looking at a full species eradication? Because if it's the latter, I need to activate some additional protocols. The Vortak launched their hunting raids at dawn across 6 continents, expecting to find scattered, terrified populations. Instead, they encountered something far more unsettling. Humans who treated alien invasion like an extreme sport. Target acquired. Single human male, isolated location, reported strike leader Nexavara to the Hunt Coordination Center. Beginning standard intimidation approach. Through the tactical feed, Hunt Master Vrex Thule watched a lone human standing in what appeared to be a forest clearing, completely aware of the approaching Vorthak squad, but making no attempt to flee. Greetings, extraterrestrial visitors, the human called out casually. I'm Jake, you here for the hunting thing? Because I gotta say, this is way cooler than paintball. Nexvora hesitated. You're not running. Where would I run? I've been preparing for this my whole life. Jake gestured to his surroundings. Wilderness survival, tactical training, urban warfare courses. My girlfriend thinks I'm paranoid, but who's laughing now, Rebecca? Sir, whispered Scout Texhun. He appears to be excited. Jake pulled out what looked like a primitive communication device. Hey, posting live updates on the alien hunt. Currently surrounded by what looks like 6-foot-tall murder crabs with guns. Design aesthetic is very bio-horror meets military-industrial complex. Solid 8 out of 10 for intimidation factor. The Vorthak squad exchanged confused glances. This wasn't how Prey behaved. Prey cowered. Prey begged. Prey made tactical errors born of panic. We are here to hunt you, Nexvara announced, trying to regain control of the situation. Tweet, what are the rules? Is this like a battle royale where last person standing wins, or more of a team-based elimination thing? Also, what's the respawn situation? Respawn? Texhoon looked genuinely puzzled. You know, when you die and come back. Although I guess if this is permanent death, that's hardcore mode. Respect. Across the globe, similar scenes played out with disturbing frequency. In Tokyo, a group of humans had somehow weaponized their public transportation system, turning subway tunnels into elaborate trap networks. The hunting party sent there reported with growing anxiety that their quarry had divided into coordinated teams with disturbingly effective communication protocols. They're using something called gaming headsets, transmitted field commander, Glickstar. They coordinate like a military unit, but they keep making reference to raids and boss fights and asking if we drop good loot. In the Australian outback, hunting pack Theta discovered that humans had been broadcasting their locations to something called social media, which resulted in crowds of humans arriving to spectate and offer tactical advice. "Yeah, nah, you want to flank them from the ridge," one helpful observer suggested to a cornered human. Classic pincer movement. "Also, that alien on the left has been favoring his right leg, probably a weak spot." "Cheers, mate," the cornered human replied, then proceeded to implement the suggested strategy with disturbing effectiveness. Huntmaster Rex Thule watched the feeds with growing alarm. "Status report all units." "Sir?" "The humans in location designated Florida have somehow convinced a local creature called an alligator to assist them. They appear to have domesticated several large reptiles." The European theater reports that humans have begun selling alien invasion tour packages and charging admission fees. North American Pacific Coast confirms humans are live streaming hunts and taking donations. Something called Twitch subscribers are apparently funding their resistance efforts. The South American team, the transmission crackled with static. "Sir, they've disappeared. Last report indicated the humans were offering them ayahuasca experiences and discussing expanding consciousness through interspecies dialogue." Breckstuhl's mandibles clicked nervously. "Casualties?" "Surprisingly minimal, sir, but the humans appear to be learning our tactics faster than we're learning theirs. They adapt their strategies mid-engagement. It's like they've studied warfare as entertainment." Through the command center's main display, tactical analysis scrolled past in real time. Human response patterns showed no fear paralysis, no individual self-preservation instincts, no breakdown of social cooperation under stress. Instead, they demonstrated coordinated adaptation, resource sharing, and what could only be described as recreational violence. "Sir," Communications Officer Rickstahl looked up from his console, "We're receiving a transmission from the Human Diplomatic Corps." Dr. Chen's face appeared on screen again, still holding her coffee mug. "Hi again, just checking in. How's the hunting going? Because Bob from engineering wants to know if you'd be interested in making this a regular event. Apparently this is the most fun the extreme sports community has had since they legalized wingsuit flying through active volcanoes." Hunt Master Vrextool stared at the species classification database, his claws hovering over the entry for Homo sapiens as reports continued flooding in from across Earth. What had begun as a routine hunt had devolved into something unprecedented in consortium history: retreat. "Explain to me again how pack leader Zorthak ended up joining a human barbecue," Vrexthul demanded. "Well, sir," stammered Communications Officer Rickstahl, "apparently the humans in the Texas region offered to teach him proper meat preparation techniques. He reports that something called brisket has fundamentally altered his understanding of cuisine, and he's requesting extended cultural exchange protocols." "And the situation in Scandinavia?" "Hunter Squad Epsilon has been adopted by a group called Vikings. They're learning something called axe throwing and have apparently started a band. Their last transmission was mostly incomprehensible chanting." Rexthul's species had evolved as apex predators on a world where everything else was essentially cattle, slow, predictable, easily dominated. The consortium had then expanded across the galaxy, encountering civilizations that had developed technology but retained prey mentalities. Every species they'd hunted had evolved in environments where cooperation meant survival, where aggression was aberrant, where violence was a last resort. Earth was different. Earth was a planet where cooperation meant more efficient killing. Tactical analysis reports that humans didn't evolve as prey animals, announced Chief Analyst Kexthari, his 6 eyes blinking rapidly. They evolved as persistence hunters, on a world where everything was trying to kill everything else. Their entire development curve involved outkeeping other predators. Meaning what, exactly? Meaning, sir, that while we perfected the art of hunting prey, they perfected the art of hunting hunters. The holographic display showed Earth's evolutionary timeline. A planet where survival required not just avoiding death but actively pursuing it. Where humans had outlasted creatures with superior strength, speed, claws and fangs through sheer stubborn persistence and tactical innovation. They literally chased megafauna to death across continents, Kexthari continued. Then they got bored and started inventing new ways to kill each other. Their entire technological development stems from finding more efficient methods of violence. Sir, interrupted Navigator Plexwin, we're receiving a formal communication from Earth's military leadership. The screen flickered, revealing a crisp human in what appeared to be formal attire. General Morrison, United Earth Defense Corps. We've completed our preliminary assessment of your hunting capabilities. Assessment? Rexthul's voice cracked. Standard procedure when encountering new potential threats. We've analyzed your tactics, equipment, and biological capabilities. Frankly, we're a bit disappointed. Your approach to combat is approximately 3,000 years behind current human doctrine. The general gestured to someone off-screen. Dr. Patterson here, from our Strategic Studies Institute, has prepared a comprehensive report on how you might improve your hunting efficiency. We're also prepared to offer training programs. Training programs? Well, yes. You're clearly apex predators from low-competition environments. Classic case of evolutionary stagnation through lack of challenging prey. We see this in Earth species too. Island predators that lose their edge without adequate challenges. Behind the general, other humans moved with casual efficiency, discussing logistics for something called Operation Welcome Wagon. We'd be happy to help you find more suitable prey, Dr. Patterson added helpfully. There's a lovely species in the Andromeda spiral that's been causing interstellar incidents. Perfect training ground for modern predation techniques. Rexthul looked at his assembled hunting council. Creatures who had once terrorized entire star systems, now listening intently to humans offering improvement tips. The other option, General Morrison continued, is establishing Earth as a training facility for galactic predators. Think of it as advanced education. We'll teach modern warfare, tactical adaptation, persistence hunting methodologies. In exchange, you help us deal with some of our more problematic neighbors. The Huntmaster's claws moved slowly across the database entry. Next to species marked extinct and consumed, he created a new category, recruitment potential. Because somewhere in the cosmic joke of evolution, the galaxy's most feared predators had just discovered they were actually the endangered species, and their former prey was offering them a conservation program. The universe, it turned out, had a sense of humor after all.